What is the connection between this man here and the mighty yet humble chicken? No, that's not a certain colonel in his younger days. That is Howard Carter, the man who discovered the tomb of Tutankhamun, King Tut. But just a mere year or two before his great discovery in 1922, he made another one that really honestly rivals it. For this here is one of the world's oldest representations of the chicken. This limestone flake, called an Ostracon, is believed to date between the late 18th dynasty and the 20th dynasty, that is to say roughly 1336 to 1069 BC. Most of you who saw my video on Shamm al-Nisīm were quite surprised to find out that the chicken wasn't common in Egypt until the Ptolemaic period, which began in 332 BC. Well, now that you think about it, when was the last time you ever saw a chicken in the 3,000 years of ancient Egyptian art in the historical period up to that point? Well, you'll see plenty of ducks, geese, other birds, just not the chicken. Apart from a handful of exceptions. You see, the chicken is native to India, Southeast Asia, and is only believed to have made its way into the ancient Near East in around 2500 BC, almost certainly thanks to the Indus Valley civilization. But it's only about at least 700 years after that that the chicken finally appears in Egyptian evidence for the very first time that we know of. That would place it sometime between 1800 and 1400 BC. Behold! This graffito was carved on the walls of the temple of the god Montu in Meidum, just north of Luxor. This graffito clearly shows what is identifiably a chicken, possibly specifically a rooster. The wattle is missing, that thing hanging under the beak of the chicken, but anatomically everything else tells us this is certainly a chicken. Now, it's not the only one. There's a couple more. But we don't exactly know for sure whether these are indeed chickens, but they might very well be. The next time that the chicken appears in the archaeological record in Egypt is also one of the oldest written references to the chicken in the world, and certainly the oldest in Egypt. Thutmose III was a great warrior pharaoh. He ruled Egypt in the 1400s BC, and he conducted many military campaigns. He went on to record them on the walls of the great temple of Amun in Karnak. What he also recorded was the tribute that the lands he subjugated brought to him. And one of them brought something very interesting indeed. The name of this land is unfortunately lost to time. But Thutmose III, thankfully, arranged them geographically. So, we know that this place, wherever it was somewhere between Babylon and Lebanon. And the text says that they brought, quote, 4 birds of this foreign land. They give birth every day. And what bird is it that has this very special characteristic of laying eggs every day? The chicken! So clearly, the chicken was this weird, exotic animal to the ancient Egyptians, where cattle was being brought in by the hundreds. Just 4 were being brought to the great king Thutmose III. The next time that we encounter the chicken in Egyptian artistic evidence might very well be that limestone flake I showed you at the start of this video. But remember, there was a pretty wide date range proposed for this object, ranging between roughly 1336 and 1069 BC. Now, before the chicken finally becomes common in Egypt in the Ptolemaic period, there's one more piece of evidence that's showing it. And it might very well be older than the limestone flake here, because its date is far more secure and it's the 1200s BC. This beautiful silver bowl was discovered in Bubastis, in the modern archaeological site of Tel Lebasta. It dates to the reign of Ramses II, the Great, in the 19th dynasty. Around a millennium later, the chicken is finally common in Egypt, and it's remained a staple of Egyptian cuisine ever since.